he had just done From Pieces to Weight, a book that I think is an excellent book. It's kind of his autobiography. So he had a literary agent, and the literary agent contacted me from 50 wanted to reach out. And basically, he wanted to meet me because he was a huge fan of the 48 Laws of Power. He credits that book with helping him immensely early on in his career, particularly after he got shot and the record label, Columbia, basically canceled his record contract, and things looked pretty bad for him. So the book had a big impact, helped him a lot. So I went out to New York. Obviously, I'm going to do it. I was a little bit intimidated because it's 50 Cent, and you see what I look like. I'm naturally I'm going to be intimidated by this guy. And it's in a back room of a steakhouse on Madison Avenue, just off Union Square. And he's got his whole team there, like 10, 12 people, including his son, right? And I'm this one white guy in this room alone, and I'm obviously feeling a little bit intimidated. They were very nice, very friendly, and I sat next to 50, and it ended up, I was sort of entranced by his bling. He had this bracelet, which was a diamond bracelet, very thick diamond bracelet with, I don't know, hundreds of diamonds on it. Well, I've never seen anything like that. That's amazing. It was beautiful, right? I'm sort of looking at that. His son, Marquise, who's sitting nearby, also had that same bracelet on. Okay, well, that kind of stood out in my mind. But the other thing was, he's not what I thought he was going to be like. He wasn't intimidating at all. He was very sweet. He was very nice. He was listening to me. He was obviously very interested to hear my ideas. We talked about various different beefs that were going on. At the time, it was with the game, in 2005, 2006. So we were talking military strategy because the war book had just come out. And I wasn't what he was expecting either. He was expecting some older, kind of serious professorial man with gray hair, maybe like Henry Kissinger or something. And here I was not like that. So our expectations were what we thought they would be. And we hit it off. We had a really nice rapport. I felt very comfortable with him. I'm not somebody who generally I don't go out to look for celebrities. I'm more interested in ordinary, average people. I like talking to taxi drivers, people in stores, hearing their stories. So it's not that I was looking to do anything with a celebrity, quite the opposite. But I thought, this guy comes from the worst part of America. There's no reason in hell that this man should have ever been successful, right? His mother dies when he's 9 years old. She's a drug dealer, right? A hustler. He's like living with his grandparents in a house in Jamaica, Queens, very small house with tons of other kids. He's not getting any attention. He's living on the streets. He's 10 years old. He's dealing crack, dealing cocaine on the streets of Southside Queens, and he's having run-ins with the law. In fact, at one point, he was kind of put in jail. There's no reason ever that somebody like that should ever be 50 Cent, who should ever have this multi-million-dollar empire, right? How did it happen? Well, it's a great story. It's a lesson for all of us. And I've been writing books about all of these dead people, right? And here was a chance to do a book with someone who was alive, who I called the Napoleon Bonaparte of hip hop, because he's a great strategist. And that would be fun. And it would mean, bridging this gap that people never bridge, which is, middle class Jewish boy from Los Angeles writing a book with 50 from the lowest parts of America. Something very interesting and very universal could happen from that. So that's sort of the book. It allowed me to do stories that were about somebody alive and in front of me, and he could talk and he could tell me. So a lot of times I had to kind of think inside of my characters and hear, like I'm writing about Napoleon, what were they thinking? And I had to try and imagine it. But here I could actually hear it, straight from the horse's mouth. This is what was going on. This is what I was thinking. This is what I was doing. So that was very exciting. And also what was really fun for me was I had a lot of experiences. So I followed him everywhere. I was in his home that he bought from Mike Tyson in Connecticut, a really strange place, I have to admit, very weird. And, but there was a lot of all of his friends were hanging out there. That was fun. And I was with him in New York on all of his business ventures, his clothing line, et cetera. We would be meeting at these fancy hotels, et cetera. So I got to see him there. And then I'd go to Vegas where he was at the VMA Awards, and I would hang out with him in Vegas and all the weird thing shit going on there. And then we would take a ride out into the desert one night to go to a party at Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s house. It was his mother's birthday. That was, so I'm having these weird experiences, kind of like that Italian adventure that I mentioned to you, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. So I was having a lot of fun. But then thing about 50 is he has tremendous charisma, right? And if I'm saying, how did somebody like this succeed, whereas all of his cohorts and friends from the hood either were in prison or were dead or were struggling? It was because of this fearless attitude that he had, right? And I saw it. It wasn't bullshit. It wasn't fake. He was very real. I would see him in crises being incredibly cool and calm and strategic. When you have 9 bullets shot at you from like a few feet away, it tends to give you an idea that nothing, what else matters in life. I'm not going to be afraid of anything. So I thought he kind of emitted this air of confidence, of fearlessness. I found him very powerful. It was an aura. And to capture that and to give people lessons on how they could use that in their life seemed like a great book to write. So it was probably the most exciting book I had, if I could say that for sure.